this right back, Charlie. Definitely.
And we're live. By now, you already know who Dan Potts is. He's a regular fixture on my channel. How you doing, my guy? You good? Make sure you're subscribing, folks.
All good, bro. All good. At least we can talk about Arsenal winning, bro. It's been too long, man. It feels too long, man. So, transfer window and Arsenal finally winning a game, DG. So, big up, man. Big up for
You've alluded to a couple of talking points that we're going to get into, man. The first thing, I want to talk about the North London derby, man. What's all your thoughts about that? And obviously the knock-on effects of getting 3 points.
Do you know what's mad is I should be talking about the 3 points as if it matters, but there was a lot more to talk about for me that was definitely in a positive light. There's also some negatives as well.
Tell us everything, man.
Well, listen, the front line says it all, doesn't it? Yeah, we need to upgrade it, bruv. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Sterling's running around trying his best, but he's going in circles. You've got Havertz, who's getting in the way. You've got Martinelli, who's like running rings around players, but doesn't seem to be able to pull the trigger. Martin Ødegaard's fluffing his lines. And Trossard did score, but let's be real, he's been bad the last few games. And the only reason he scored is because the keeper should have done better. So we've definitely got problems in the front line, bruv. That's the negatives out the way. The positives, however, was I thought was the best free throw in football we've played all season, if I'm honest with you. In terms of actually going forward, I actually felt like when we were trying to get on to them, I felt that there was going to be an opportunity for us to make something happen. The problem we got is in the final third, we've got no killer. So that's definitely the issue. And I just feel like if we could get that last couple of pieces to the puzzle, maybe we can start seeing some goals in this Arsenal side again. Now, obviously, we did score a couple of goals, and it was great to see. Gabriel, I thought, was a beast. But the one that really shone out to me was Miles Lewis-Skelly, bro. I thought he was absolutely outstanding, and I think he deserves a hell of a lot of plaudits. I gave him a lot of credit after the game, and I did say that I felt that he was kind of one of our shining lights this season. And times where it's been pretty negative at times. I think the last few weeks have certainly been at that stage at Arsenal in terms of the fan base being hurt by going out of competitions. I think he's been one of the shining lights along with Ethan Nwaneri that actually look at this side and think, yeah, we didn't have the best of summer, but perhaps if we did, we wouldn't have seen some of those shining lights. So you've got to try and look at things positively when you can. And when the performances are there, you've got to big him up because I thought he's been outstanding. For an 18-year-old to come in at a position that he hasn't
been like that as well.
In a game of that magnitude, North London derby, and I thought he was one of the players of the match. So there's definitely some positives, bruv. The other thing I'll say is I think that Gabriel, I said this to judges on the channel yesterday, I honestly believe he's been Mikel Arteta's best signing, and people will point towards Martin Ødegaard, Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, Ben White, but I just think Gabriel for 27 million, been there since day dot, one of his first signings, has got better, has ironed out some of those kind of mistakes and the bozo moments people were calling him early days. I think he's complemented Saliba wonderfully well. And I have to say, I think he's actually outshone Saliba in the last 2 seasons. So I think we have to be realistic.
One of our best goal scorers as well, Dad.
Bro, I can't believe it. Every time he goes out for a corner, it is literally like flipping a coin. Is he going to get there or not? I've been so impressed with him. So I think they deserve a mention, both Gabriel and Lewis-Skelly, bro.
Do you think Gabriel's underrated? Because I think he's starting to get his plaudits with Arsenal fans. But I agree with what you're saying in that I think he's got a case to be our best player that Mikel Arteta signed. I think he's got rid of those bozo genes. But I think because people remember what he used to kind of be like, he's not really getting the clout he deserves. Of course, Saliba's great. But I feel when we talk about Arsenal and winning trophies and things, we always sit there and say, you know what, the likes of Saka and Saliba might depart. But I think people leave Gabriel out of that conversation because he's a bit older. Do you think he slept on in the Arsenal fan base and in football?
I think he slept on by rival fans as well. I think they're starting to
100%.
realise how good he is from corners. I've got a lot of people on my channel from other clubs representing them saying, yeah, beast from corners, monster. But it ain't just that. You know, I think sometimes what he's got going against him is that he doesn't quite have the credit in the bank of Saliba. He doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing on the eye as Saliba. But you need that. You need that monster. You need that absolute monster. And I personally believe that they complement each other. I think Saliba's got the ball playing ability and he looks so calm and composed on the ball. Gabriel, as much as I quite like him on the ball as well, is that kind of Range Rover when he's the Bentley. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
we all
yeah.
know he was a Rolls Royce or a Bentley. I think what Gabriel is that Range Rover who just absolutely goes through players. So I feel for me, he's a player that perhaps people might look at as being rash or a little bit extreme at times because he did that in his early days. People are now still believing he does that now. He hasn't done that for the last 3 years. He's been phenomenal. He really has. And I think he's underrated. I think he's a player that we'll look back to in this period of time and think, wow, I think we underappreciated Gabriel. We were so fixated on Saliba because Gabriel's, in my opinion, been as good defensively as him, and he gets goals from corners. So he's been pivotal in this side. There's so many games we wouldn't have won without Gabriel this season. Like, there really isn't. Like, you look at the games that we've been winning and where he's been scoring. It's not been like we've been 4-0 up, 3-0 up. It's been like a 2-1, a 1-0, even a draw sometimes.
I was just about to say that.
No, I'm saying, like, he's been really important, his goals.
Do you, like, how can I make it make sense? Yeah, like, do you when I think of Gabriel, I think mentality monster. I think, you see it in the North London derbies. You're on Twitter, you saw everybody tweeting how he's got man of the matches. You can see it with your eyes. Yeah. Do you question the mentality of our squad? And if you do, yeah, do you think there's anybody that has the mentality that you're looking for? Because I think you mentioned Lewis Skelly. I think the mentality, obviously, we could be here all day about his technical level, how good he's going to be, all of that jazz. But I think his mentality is spot on for the North London derby and games before that. And I think Gabriel as well. I also think Benjamin White's got it. That's one thing I'll give Kai Havertz. He might not have the quality I want to see up front, but I do think he's a bit of a shithouser. But there are 4 or 5 names. Like, where are you at with the mentality of our squad, if you are questioning that?
I have questioned it. Not just this season, if I'm honest. You have to question it when you don't get across the line, man. You have to question it.
Key word, across the line, folks. Facts,
yeah, I mean, look, Mikel Arteta's got to look at his mentality as well, and I quite like some of the stuff he says. I don't quite like some of the other stuff he says, but when I look at the actual pitch, that's where it comes from. The manager can only do so much because he can't get all 11 of the players to be getting to that elite mentality if we're not winning stuff. Now, you've got the winning mentality side of things. You've got players like Kieran Tierney, Kai Havertz, Jorginho that have won trophies in the game. So you've got them that have got the mentality. You also look at different sorts of mentality. You've got the mentality of Ethan Nwaneri and Lewis Skelly, who know what it's like to be an Arsenal player. They know what it's like to be at this club.
They got Saka as well.
Bukayo Saka as well. I think Gabriel Martinelli's a part of that now because he's been so young and brought up in that mentality at the club as well. I think Ben White and Gabriel and Saliba are the other 3 that come to mind, because if I had to pass that armband around outside of Ødegaard, I'd be giving it to those 3 because I think they all understand what they're there for. And I think the old school in me likes a captain that barks out orders, and Gabriel does that. For me, I would be...
So I look at Rice.
To see those kind of guys looking at with the captain armband. Declan Rice is another one. So I do question the mentality as a whole, but I think there's actually, looking individually, a lot more leaders out there than perhaps we give him credit for. And I think Ødegaard is definitely a leader. He's not my ideal captain because I like the old school, but definitely can't say that it's been a bad decision by Mikel Arteta. He leads by example. He's kind of the role model on the pitch. He leads by the press, and I think we missed him when he was out. I don't think he's quite been the same, DG. I'm sure we'll touch on it, but
no, let's do that now, man. Why is that for you as well? While we're on Ødegaard as well, man.
I've been really disappointed with him this season, man. And people might think that's harsh because obviously he's been out for a while.
I think of recent. I'm with you recently. I'm looking at Ødegaard like, come on, bro.
Look, I've got to be real. I think it is the reason I don't want to excuse it, but the reason I can only put it down to is I have to pinpoint the injury and the illness, because that's the only thing I can think that it is. Coming back from that,
and he's a dad now as well, man. He ain't getting no sleep.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like the only thing about that is they've got like, they're multi-millionaires. Do you know what I mean? They get their.
It's not like if me or you had a kid. They got nannies and that, man.
They get their nannies looking after their kids while they're sort of concentrating on their work. But I will say, I do think there's definitely a change in things when that happens in your life. I've not got kids, but I imagine it completely changes. But I will say this: I think when you look at what the injury was, it wasn't like he was out for a couple of weeks with a hamstring. It was quite a nasty one. He's still got to try and get himself on track. I think he knows himself. He's not quite right. I think there's definitely a little bit about the illness and sickness that he's had. And I don't know how you can be ill for this long, but he certainly doesn't look right for me still whenever I watch him. But there is something inside there saying that individually you've got to look at your own performances and stop making excuses because we need him. And there's just a lot of touches on the ball I'm seeing. Like, come on, like release it earlier. Why are you spinning back round and starting again? Why are you keeping it safe? Is that a manager style thing? Or is it you just not quite with it or not quite confident enough to thread that ball through? So I think there's definitely a culmination, to be fair. And I do think that we will see the best of him again. It's not like Ødegaard's now done. I just don't think he's 100% fit yet. I don't think he's 100% in the rhythm, and momentum's key in football. So I think that we will see the best of him again, but I just think it might take another few weeks. But I'm a big fan of him, bro. Big fan.
You can't not be, man. Like, the man's Ødegaard, isn't it? Like, I agree with what you said in that fundamentally I need him to step up. I do obviously think Saka being out and injuries and illnesses, it all plays a part. But crucially, like you said there, at some point, it's about your performance. And I know you're not Declan Rice, you're not Tony Adams, you're not an Henry kind of leader, but I have expectations of Ødegaard because 9 times out of 10 he's got that, yeah. But I also want to ask you, do you, as stupid as this might sound, yeah, do you think there's too much of a creative burden on Martin Ødegaard? I only say that because as much as Ødegaard's the creative king and the press king and all of that, that's one man, there's 10 other players. And I also feel that there should be creativity all over the pitch, because what if he has an off day? But where are you at with that?
Yeah, I think we put a lot of pressure on him to be the guy to thread the balls through. He's actually only got 3 assists this season, which is
madness for
quite worrying, really, for a guy of his level. And look, I will say Saka being out has not helped him. I'm not saying we're a one man side, but when you look at how you defend against Bukayo Saka, you have to put 2 men on him, which then creates space for Martin Ødegaard. Now we've got Gabby Jesus, who's now injured, Sterling, who's not been the same, and Trossard, who's sometimes out there. Ethan Nwaneri was out there and it wasn't quite the same either, even though he played well and scored the goal. I'm thinking, yeah, there's 2 men on Ødegaard now more available. They're not giving him as much space. It's much easier to play against Arsenal because you haven't got to worry about Saka. You're definitely not worrying about Trossard or Martinelli at the moment with the level they're playing at, right?
I don't laugh, I'll cry, man.
So now it's going to be like, let's just stifle Ødegaard because then they won't get anything through. Now, he has managed to create chances and we've managed to create chances, and I still stand by the amount that we've created this season. We should have won more games, 100%. And we should have
still been in the FA Cup, mate.
Should have still been in the FA Cup. And when we've won games, DG, we should have won them by more. So the other night, I looked at the game and I thought, how was that 2-1, man? Like, we should have battered them by 4 or 5, but we haven't got the kind of killers at the moment in the front line, and that's where we need to now strengthen in the next 2 windows for me, bro.
No, I think you're bang on the money, yeah. And you just made me have a thought, because I do think, and again, you do content, you speak with a bunch of different creators, and you're obviously looking at your live chat, yeah. But you know how you said we should have scored more goals? I'm in agreement with you. I do think Arsenal fans, we get into this trap of like, we have 20 plus shots, like 4 or 5 on target, and they'll say Mikel Arteta coached the 3-0, which I hear it, but ultimately the hardest thing to do is put the ball in the back of the net. And at the start of this video, which I agree with, you mentioned our front 3. So it's like, how do you look at it? Like, is it just a case of we've got a lack of talent? Does Arteta need to do more from a creative point of view? Or because of the summer and where we face ourselves, have we signed up for this, if I'm honest?
Yeah, people have asked me before, is our front line just rubbish? The answer is no. The front line's fine if you're going for a top 6 or a top 4, but we don't want to do that. We want our front line to be getting across the line in the title and Champions Leagues. And I think everybody knows it ain't quite ready that. I think we've got a team at the moment that has departments, that has elite players, that has great players, that has superb players, that has title-winning players. I think it's also got departments that has got top 4 areas of the team, and I think our front line is one of them. You know, if I said to you right now, we've got to get this team into Europe, and I said, who are my players? And you say you've got Jesus, Sterling, Trossard, Martinelli, Havertz, I'd be like, yeah, cool, I reckon I could do that, you know. But I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to get across the line against the Cities and Liverpools of this stage.
Man.
Yeah, bruv. Look, I'm not saying they won't win us anything. I believe we're still good enough to win a trophy. The problem we've got is we're out of both the domestic ones, it seems now. So we have to now go for one of the big boys, right? And that seems like what we've been trying to go for the best part of 5 years and haven't been able to get across the line. I think if I said to you right now, what do we need? I think we actually need all 4 of the front 4, a player in each of those positions. Not just all to start, but I think
we need a bigger squad, man.
Yeah, we've got a Saka and Ødegaard playing. We don't have any backup for Saka and Ødegaard, in my opinion. Maybe Ethan, but he's still young. And then we've got, I think, a couple of centre forwards and a winger that we've got to go and get in. So that's where I'm at. I don't know that we will do that, but across the next 2 windows, I think we've got to try and get at least 3 attackers in the window. And yeah, that's kind of harsh, but it's ruthless. But you've kind of got to be at this stage, in my opinion. You know, you've got to be looking at Jesus' injuries. You've got to be looking at that Sterling deal, thinking, is that something we want to extend? Not for me. Obviously, Trossard's got a contract issue. Is he going to stay or is he going to go? Could be that we're left with with just Martinelli, Havertz, Ødegaard, and Saka, and you can't have 4 attackers in your front, like 5 positions, so or 4 positions. So for me, that's got to be looked at in the next two windows, bruv.
How confident are you in the front three here? Because I'm with you. It's like I feel our attackers, when I kind of strip back the hype of North London derby and all of that jazz, I would say we still got the same issues. We didn't convert as many chances as we could. It's another case of a team gets one chance, which was Son, and they bag. And ultimately, we're not putting the ball in the back of the net. But it's a weird one because I don't think Havertz is the difference maker and he shouldn't be leading the line and all of that. But I don't think he's a bad player. I don't think he's amazing, but I don't think he's bad. I don't think Trossard is horrible, but I don't think he's a starter. And as you've kind of said, we're at where we're at with Raheem Sterling. But it's like, do you have any faith that any of them will go in a run of form? Do you have any faith that we're actually going to act in the January market? Because I'm sure you've done videos on the Sesko stuff. Cold water's been poured on that. Like, do we need to if we want to win silverware?
I think this January is an absolute must. If we do nothing in this
100%.
January, I think what we've done is we've waved the white flag and tapped out and said we're going to stick to what we've got. What we do is what we do, and we'll go again next year. And I don't like that mentality. I don't like that attitude. I think we've dropped our standards. So we absolutely have to. And I think we're going to. We're leaving it late again, DG. Like, we know we're over halfway. The window is open. Not that you would know it if you're a Gooner, right? But there's a lot of options. And, you know, a lot of people have said to me, yeah, but who'd you get? It's hard. Are they available? How can you get anyone in January? Well, Manchester City are about to get their 3rd or 4th signing over the line.
Yeah,
so
man, they're players. And they gave a 9-year deal to Haaland. They're doing stuff.
Oh, bro, they're definitely not guilty, by the way, if they're doing that. Anyway, that's another podcast. But look, I will say this. There are players out there, whether it's Victor Gyökeres, whether it's Victor Osimhen, whether it's a Sesko or a Dusan Vlahović, there are strikers that are available. Whether you want a winger, if you want to look in the Premier League, you've got Semenyo, you've got Mbeumo, you've got what's his name, Kudus. You've got
even Wisa of Brentford as well yesterday or day before.
Wisa and Mbeumo, I mean, 2 very good players. João Pedro is another centre forward you could look at getting. So there's definitely Premier League players, you know. They've got some good players, the Premier League. You want to go overseas, then you go and get Ademola Lookman. You go and look at getting somebody in the front line out of who I've just mentioned. If Nico Williams is available, you go try and activate that release clause. So there's definitely players out there. I won't have this, we can't sign anyone because no one's available. It's a superb window for opportunity. So we have to go and get something done. I think we'll get 1. I don't think we'll get 2 or 3. And I will say this, I don't think it will be one that we are blown away by. I don't think it will be a signing where we're all of us are going, oh my God, I've just got really
level
excited.
raiser type stuff.
You know
Yeah,
I'm saying? I don't think it's going to be a Victor Gyökeres. I think it could be a Dusan Vlahović. I don't think it's going to be a Victor Gyökeres. It could be a Sesko, but I'm still going to stand by it. I think Victor Gyökeres would be much more exciting than Benjamin Sesko. It's not like I hate on Benjamin Sesko. I don't know enough about him. I haven't seen enough of him, right? But at 2021, is that a huge upgrade on Havertz? I don't know that it is. So we have to go and, for me, make Havertz that rotated piece, not the absolute definite striker, because he's getting a lot of stick, DG. And look, I don't condone like all that crap online. I
going too far. Yeah. I mean, you can criticize the player, but all the DMs and getting at his family, any decent human being is not on that.
It's just an embarrassment, if I'm honest, to the human race. When I look at what Havertz is doing on the pitch, I can understand the frustration, and I think he can. I think he's an honest guy. I don't think he sits there going, "Why does everyone have a go at me?" You know, he's missing from 2 yards. He's missing from a yard. He's missed the penalty to put us out of the competition. He's getting a little bit of heat at the moment. It's part of being a footballer.
Feeling the pressure.
With it. He's got to feel the pressure, of course, but he's got to deal with it. And I think that we can do him a favour, because the last thing we want to do is hang him out to dry and say, well, sorry, mate, you're the only 9 we've got, so on you go. Actually, what we're going to do is take him out of the firing line and say, do you know what? We're going to bring the Sesko in, or Vlahović in, or Gyökeres in, and you're going to fight for it with this guy. And it ain't going to build the pressure on you. Yeah, you're on 65 million and you're on one of our highest paid wages. That means you've got to be a massive part of this squad. But if you're coming on, as Trossard was doing not too long ago, and you're banging in goals, the fans will love you again. So, look, the best thing he could have done was score the other night. It didn't happen for him. Anytime you score against Tottenham, you're a hero, right? So that's the best thing that could have happened to him. We've got games coming up where he's got to get opportunities to score goals, and he has to. So, look, I still think we need a centre forward and a winger. I don't think I'm one of these guys who says just bring one attacker in and we're good to go. I still feel we need a lot more. And I think the summer will actually be quite an interesting one. I really do. And the reason I'll say that, I don't want to go too far ahead because it's still...
No, go ahead, man. We want to hear your thoughts, bro.
But I'm looking at the summer thinking there's a really interesting rebuild potentially that could happen. And I'm not talking about starting to rebuild an 11. I'm starting to rebuild the squad because there's a lot of opportunities for us to look at the futures of certain players. And I'm not too fussed about the goalkeeper. We all know it's going to be Raya, the backup goalkeeper. I don't know if we're going to keep Neto. That means we might be in for another keeper. The left-back scenario has got to be sorted because we've got about 15 and Miles Lewis-Skelly looks the best one.
Yeah. People even say was there a need to sign Calafiori.
Calafiori and Miles Lewis-Skelly, maybe they're the two left-backs and we move on Zinchenko and Tierney. We look at Kivior's future. We look at Tomiyasu's future. We look at Partey and Jorginho. And I think we have to be honest and say that along with Tavares, Lokonga, Fabio Vieira, we have to look at Gabriel Jesus and Trossard as well because if they're not going to sign new deals and they're not fit enough, then we're going to have to move them on. That's quite a lot of players.
ACL as well, so yeah, you can't say
so we're talking about potentially 7 or 8 players there. Are we going to bring in 7 or 8? No, we don't need to bring in 7 or 8. We might need to bring in 4 or 5 though in the next window, as well as bringing somebody in this window. So it might be that there might be 4, 5 or 6 players that we're looking at getting in the next couple of windows, which is what I think we need to do, bro.
I think you're bang on the money, but like, because you said it there, yeah, like humor me. Does that mean we have to do another rebuild? And if we do have to do another rebuild, like this project, I would say Project Rebuild initially worked, but Project winning the league title, we haven't gone over the line clearly. Like, I agree with you. I think there's several players we need to look at bringing in, contract renewals and possibly selling. But are we back to square one essentially then? Where we have a couple of good players, but we still need to get a couple of other pieces. And then the cycle kind of continues.
The reason I say we can't be back to phase 1 is because we know what our best 11 is. And I still think it's 3 players short, not 8 players short. If we were 8 players short, then it would be, oh my God, we've got
a wing at 8, isn't it?
100. We all know what it is, right? Striker, wing, and 8, and then we're in a good position. Excuse me, I do believe that. And I feel like that 8 needs to be that wow 8, not Mikel Merino level. That winger needs to be levels of Martinelli and Trossard, and the striker needs to be killer. Yeah, I'm talking like Isak, Kvaratskhelia. I know he's now gone, so it have to be like Williams or one of them guy, Lookman, and then like an 8 in the region of like a Bruno Guimaraes type.
Proper curtain raisers, man.
Somebody like that. Or what you do is you get a Florian Wirtz and you move Ødegaard to the 8 and put Florian Wirtz in the 10, or Musiala, whoever you want in that 10. So there's all ways we can do it, right? But it's the squad that I think we need to look at now. Because
only got 13 players, really. And big up Lewis-Skelly and Ethan. They brought themselves into it now, but we ain't got a squad.
Yeah,
really.
I think that's what it is. And people made me laugh when they say we give ourselves 5 years and then we get our 25-man squad and we go. In that 25-man squad, you're going to have some misses. You're not going to all have hits. And we have had some misses. Look at Marquinhos, look at Pablo Mari and Cedric and Lokonga and Tavares and Ruddison.
PTSD, mate.
Look at these guys, man. Fabio Vieira, all of these guys that we brought in that we now need to be getting rid of. You have to go and get replacements for them. So, look, Ethan and Miles are definite 2 positives to come through that have been added for players we didn't have to sign. There's a lot of hot talk and hype about Max Dowman being the next one coming through as well, which I hope to see happen because he looks an absolute baller too. So some of those academy players definitely deserve the chance. The problem I've got is when you're bringing through academy players, you need to sprinkle them around the talent,
with some quality,
make them the talent, you know. And I think that's the problem that we've got at the moment is we've got Zinchenko, Kivior, Tomiyasu, Timber, Tierney, Calafiori, and Lewis-Skelly that can all play left back. That's 7 players. There's only really Lewis-Skelly at the moment that's outperforming because Tierney's not getting a chance. Zinchenko's done. Calafiori's
Tomiyasu, we can't see him.
Tomiyasu can't stay fit. So I'm looking at that thinking, wow, that leaves really only Miles Lewis-Skelly at the moment that has got a long-term future at the club. That is good enough. Now, I'm not saying
Calafiori by default because of the deal.
Yeah, because we got to give him more time and he's had injuries, right? So there is definitely, we're definitely not in a position. I don't like it when people say we just need a couple of players. I think if we get a couple of players, we'll find ourselves in the top 4 again. That's what will happen.
We need a couple of players for the 11, and we, like you've been saying, we need a bigger squad. Like I always say to Arsenal fans, yeah, obviously everybody's got a selling price, and there's definitely a lot to do. I think Gabriel, Saliba, and Saka, they've got 2 years left on their deals. We need to buck up our ideas and get a sporting director because we actually have a lot to do. But like obviously everyone's got a price tag in it. Like there's no player in theory that is unsellable. But at a push, if we were to define that, I think everyone would agree: Saliba, Saka, probably Gabriel. I would say Timber. I'd say Benjamin White. I'd obviously say Ethan and Lewis Skelly. Beyond that, is Declan Rice as well, is subject to debate. Like some people would get rid of Ødegaard. I wouldn't necessarily do that. As you said, with Moreno and Partey and Jorginho, it's a bit techie. Up front, if your name's not Bukayo Saka, for me, everything's up for debate. By default, Gabriel Jesus with that ACL are in issues. Do you think Havertz is a problem for Arsenal? And what I mean by that is I know certain people look at us, but you mentioned it and I agree. If we look at our starting 11, give or take, you want an 8, you want a striker. 2 positions Kai Havertz plays in, right? Now, he can be part of the squad. But as you said, he's on big money and things like that. So have we created an issue in that, even if we upgrade? Because it's something still going to have to happen with Kai.
Yeah, he's created a problem. He has created a problem. Whether he likes that problem or not is a different debate. I don't like the problem because I wouldn't have signed Kai Havertz. Even as an attacking midfielder, I wouldn't have signed him at the time when we got him in. He was supposed to be that. And I think he knows that he's caused a problem because he's trying to find a solution for a problem he didn't have to cause. He's brought in a player that he didn't quite have a position for. He thought he had him in the 8, didn't work. Thought he had him in the 10, didn't work. Has been playing him right wing at times this season, which ain't worked.
Don't remind me, man.
As the 9, he is literally a 9, or he goes out. Now, he could play just off the striker in a 4-4-2, but we don't play 4-4-2, GG. So we have to look at what we're playing right now with him, and you have to say that it hasn't worked. Now, he's definitely contributed. He's been a part of a squad. He could definitely remain to be a part of a squad, but he can't be the starter every time. And I think that's the problem that Mikel Arteta has got now.
And it's not fair on Kai, man, really, if I'm honest.
Well, I don't blame Kai. And a lot of people blame Kai and they think it's his fault and it's not good enough and all this. But he's not the guy who picked him to come play at Arsenal in 3 different positions.
We're relying on Kai Havertz to score goals. That's our issue. And Kai's been a lot more consistent than a lot of our players. We're in problems if this is the case.
And I don't think it's been a woeful signing. Like people think it's been a flop and it's been horrendous. It's not been a flop, right? He's had a lot of money and we paid a lot of money for what we're now delivering. However, he's not been a flop. It's not like we spent £100 million like a Jack Grealish and he's still waiting to score his first goal.
Second half of the season, he was doing his thing for us.
Back end of the season, he was great. Let's hope that's happening the same for this season. All I will say is, I honestly believe he would not be a flop and he would be so much better if we're bringing him on from the bench. Now, we might not like that every game and we don't have to do it every game, but we get that one striker in, yeah? Let's say we get the dream striker, whoever that is for you. For me, it'd be
exactly.
Yeah. Whoever that is, you get one of them guys in, you put them up top and you think, bloody hell, we got Kai on the bench. We can bring him on now with a different dimension, give us something in the air, make a nuisance of himself, cause absolute chaos and havoc. That's 25 minutes right there where he can come on and change the game. That's the sort of position I see with Havertz. I don't see his role in the team as a starter and an absolute number 9 that has to be there. So there's options, man. We've got to bring him in. We've got to upgrade on it. I'm going into every game at the moment thinking, who's going to score? I'm not going to be putting any money on the front line.
The defenders, man.
Yeah, Gabriel. And I got more chance of Declan Rice scoring at the moment, you know? So it's a madness. It really is, bro.
We're moving mad, and at the end of the day, yeah, I do like a lot of what Arteta's done. I do have a lot of criticisms, but at the end of the day, the hardest thing to do in football, as we all know, is to score goals. And I do think Mikel Arteta has overcomplicated that. Kind of on brand with what you're saying. For me, you're getting players that are anything but clinical and expecting them to get us over the line. And even with I don't think in isolation, Trossard is a bad player. Kai Havertz is a bad player. I know Sterling's not the Sterling he was, but I don't think he's a bad player. But you look at the group, yeah, you can say they're experienced, they've won stuff, they've done this and that, but what we're seeing at Arsenal, for me, with Mikel Arteta, it doesn't make sense. You're bringing blunt knives to a gunfight, which is the Premier League. You look at City, who are not doing anything. They've got Haaland. Obviously, Liverpool got Salah, and they've got other players that chip in. There's players in our team, Dan, and I'm sure you'd agree in that 5-10 games across the course of a season at different periods, like last year, they're going to score. But apart from Saka, there's no cold-hearted killer. That's where I think Arteta has made it difficult. If you could, yeah, obviously we'd love a striker or a winger or both, really. If it came to it in January, like where we are now, would you go for a striker or a winger? Like if you got that guy that's doing even 50% of what Saka's doing, and you've got whatever striker, obviously it could be Isaac or whatever, do you go for the winger or the striker?
So the reason it has to be a striker now is because of the injuries that we've got. So people will say Saka's out. We've got Waneri coming back soon, hopefully, and we also got Sterling, Trossard, Martinelli. We've got some wingers, right? If I'm honest, I think we can look to utilize some of the youngsters that are coming through to play out there if we're really desperate. Yeah, up front, we got Havertz.
On the bench, might as well.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got Havertz and Havertz only. Trossard can play in the false 9, and I quite like him there, if I'm honest. but that really is like last resort. So I think it has to be a striker. And I would like it to be someone who's a different style and profile to Kai Havertz. And people might look at some of the links and think, well, they're all like Havertz. I don't think they are, if I'm honest. I think all three of them actually are a bit different to Kai Havertz from what I've seen. Like you've got Sesko, you've got Vlahović, and you've obviously got Gyökeres are the three that I'm talking about. And I think that they all bring something different. I think they actually are all quite different, to be fair. The one that I obviously want is Viktor Gyökeres out of the three because I think he offers everything, bro. The ball carrying's there, the link-up play's there, the aerial ability's there. I think he can use both.
Right in the goals he scores as well, man. It's different kind of goals as well,
goals, man. All sorts of goals, and I love that.
Free kick on
I want to be seeing. We've seen him cause an absolute nuisance to a couple of our sort of players when we played him, and Manchester City destroyed. So there's definitely kind of, you know, England. He's got a little bit of experience in England, and people might laugh when it's the Championship, but
still experience, man.
It's bloody competitive and it's rough and it's tough, and you've got to be hard nut to play in that division. Trust me. Then you go into the Portuguese league and you deliver, and then you're doing it for your club and country, and then you're doing it in the Champions League. Like, what has he not done? I don't really know why people wouldn't want to be taking a punt on him. The only thing I can think is he doesn't really want to come, and he's quite happy to wait till the summer, or Arsenal aren't interested in him. And it looks
that's
like
what I think with him, you know, I'll be real. I think that with Gyökeres, I don't think we're really onto him like that. I think that's a paper one. I think Isak, clearly, I think the club would dream to have him, but as we both know, you know, it's going to take a lot of money, and even that's a myth. I think Sesko just makes sense for the club. He's young. He was quote unquote affordable. You can kind of see where he ties in. I don't think they want Gyökeres. I think they like him. I think they've scouted him, but I don't know why, Dan. I just think that one's a paper one, if I'm honest. Like the paper's just throwing his name into it. I'm having all three of them. I'll be real. My dream would be Isak, though, man.
Isak's the number one. I mean, the problem I've got with Isak is I think Newcastle are going to get Europe, whether it's Champions League or not, I don't know. But I think they are, which means I think they keep their players for another season. And I think if we want to go and get Isak, he's going to be 150 million. And that is a mad amount of money to play on someone who does get injuries, that hasn't won the Golden Boot. So, look, if you look at what Isak can do, if he stays fit, I think he's up there to win the Golden Boot. That's how much I rate him. I think he's that good. And at the moment, he's on fire alongside Newcastle. He's the dream. If you can't get him, it's Gyökeres. And then after that, I'm probably leaning towards Victor Osimhen ahead of Sesko and Vlahović, if I'm honest.
Osimhen might be attainable. I swear he's got a break clause in the Turkey deal. And I'll be respectfully to the Turkish club he's at. He didn't want to end up there in the summer. Let's be real. He didn't want to end up. He had a move, probably lined up. He thought he'd be playing in the Prem or something. For one reason or not, it didn't happen.
I think it works, Osimhen to Arsenal, and a lot of people I speak to really believe he's the one that we should be going.
And I'm desperate now, so I'm having him.
Well, I mean, we're desperate, but it might be that he's perfect for the amount that we're creating, because we're creating chances and our fluff are fluffing them, yeah. And I think Osimhen's not a player that comes and ball carries and starts to create it for himself. He is a killer, and he's one of those guys that he'll miss
in the back of the net,
but he will put in the back of the net also. So I think when you look at Osimhen, I think that would make sense. Gyökeres would be my dream this window. Isak's the ultimate dream signing, though, of course.
I think, like, where we're talking about strikers, I think we've kind of, like, not really. We've been talking about Isak. We've spoken about Sesko. I don't think we've really spoken about Vlahović. Like, I want to ask you, do you think he's the guy? And, like, do you actually believe the rumors in it? Because on one hand, I do think we have an interest. Clearly, there's some contract business at Juventus. We tried to get him before. We need a striker. But on the other hand, like, I look at what, rightly or wrongly, we know we want our strikers to score goals, but all the other stuff Mikel Arteta wants from him, I wonder why we was linked with him in the first place, because he's not really that presser, that dropping deep. And I can't remember the last international break. He was playing for Serbia, and he kind of sent an indirect at Thiago Motta. He was like, I like playing for Serbia because the manager lets me conserve my energy and just stay up front. Now, rightly or wrongly, for me, maybe I'm naive, bro, but like that don't make sense in an Arteta system. So it's like, where are you at with Vlahović? Like,
where am I at with Vlahović? I wanted him when he was at Fiorentina because he was banging in goals.
We all did.
I'm all about form. I think for momentum and confidence in football is key, and I was all about form. Now he's gone to Juventus and he hasn't been a shambles. He had scored some goals. He scored quite a lot of goals at times in certain seasons. My problem with Vlahović is he's got a terrible first touch. And I'm not saying that makes you a bad footballer, right? But at the same time, I do feel like he's going to need that if he's going to be lumped up to him, because he's a big geezer, right? Now, is that a massive upgrade on Havertz? I think it probably could be, because
in terms of the goals,
in terms of the goals. But I'm not going to put money on him scoring 20, 30 goals a season, and that's what we need. I'd have more hope in the others, because if he's going to come to Arsenal and get 15 goals, that's fine for this January to May. But if he's going to get 15 goals across the season, that's what Havertz did last season, which wasn't enough. So we need to be realistic about it. We need to get someone who's a huge upgrade, a clear starter. I don't want to bring in someone and go, I still don't know who starts then. Is it Havertz or him? I don't want that. I want it to be, you're my number 9, you're my left winger, and I'm sorry, Martinelli, Havertz, and Trossard, but you're going to have to fight to get back in this side.
Yeah, you lot on the bench until you show different.
You've had your time. Yeah.
I want to ask you as well, because I know this is something where, I mean, every Arsenal fan's going to be passionate on it. I've left it on screen for a reason, Like, talk to me about the Cronkies. Like, who do you attribute the blame to at this moment in time? Is it a thing where Arteta had a limited budget and he didn't utilize it well? Is it a thing where it has to come from the owners? Because, again, they sat there, bro, and you've seen it. They said, we want to be title winners. We want to do this and that. I think everybody, to a degree at Arsenal, or terms of Arsenal fans, kind of checked out based off the summer. So it's like, who's to blame with you? Or is it a bit of everyone? We're like, where are we at? Bearing in mind, we ain't got no sporting director as well, bro. Like, me and you are waffling about transfers and contracts and this and that. We ain't got no sporting director. This is a madness for a team that's finished second last 2 years.
Look, I think when everybody wants to point blame and praise, it should go to the same people. I've always believed that when things are going well as a team, you should be celebrated. And when things are going wrong as a collective, you should be criticized. I do think that does work a little bit differently when there's individual quality you can see in a team, for example. So, when you get to 90 minutes and let's say Declan Rice puts in a worldie to win you that game, the team performance can be looked at, but Rice deserves the most credit there because he's put it in the top bins, right?
He's nicked 3 points for the team, yeah.
Yeah, I think the same goes for Mikel Arteta. When he makes an unbelievable substitution, which comes on to win you a game, you've got to be praising the player he brought on and the manager who brought him on. But any time that you start to point fingers about the project, where we're going as a club, do you believe that this is the right decision? You have to look at the top. And that for me is the Cronkies. And Stan Kroenke, I don't count because no one hears from him. But Josh Kroenke is at least a little bit more present these days. And you can actually say...
Apparently he was at the North London derby.
He was at the North London derby. So it means that he has actually got some think about him that is trying to allow him to connect with fans and say that he cares. I don't like them. I've just got to be real with you. I don't like them.
I can't blame you.
I look at what they do in America, and what they spend, and I look at what they do in England and what they spend, and it's chalk
and what they win.
I also look at what they win. Yes, they might not dominate, but they do at least win. We can't even get to winning before we dominate with these. We've had 17 years of this ownership, whether it be part owners, shares, or total ownership, and we've only really got FA Cups to show for it.
No real history with
they can't
them,
really be looking at their period. And look at when we look back, say we wind on 50 years, right? Hopefully we're still on this earth and we're old men talking football, right? But what I will say is when we get to a stage of looking back at that era, we won't remember what the Cronkies did for Arsenal. We will remember what they did for Arsenal, but it won't be in history. It won't be look at these trophies. Do you remember that Champions League we won? Do you remember when we went and did a double? Do you remember winning the title? It won't be that.
I just that wasn't the case, Dan. Man, you're making me dream, man.
Well, look. It might change. It might change. Like it might be that there's an opportunity for us to actually kick on in the next couple of windows, and we're talking differently, right? Because there's an opportunity. There's been a window of opportunity for Arsenal to win serious trophies in the last 3 years, this season included, as the previous last 2, and we've left with nothing every time. I don't want to get to the end of May and say, here we go, we've got another season where we've won nothing. So when does this project come to fruition to go?
It's always next season, man.
League. Boom. Yeah, and when Patrice Evra said that, Arsenal fans got all sensitive and cried. He was right, wasn't he?
He was right.
Saying it to only a month ago he said that, and a month later we're saying, well, there's always next season again. So we've cried about someone in October, November time telling us that we are in a position where we're just Netflix FC, and we don't even get to the new year before we are Netflix FC again. Because I'm hearing people saying, wait till we get this in the summer. Wait till Zubimendi comes and we get a winger and we get a striker and we get XYZ. And I'm like, hang on a minute, like there's still a lot to play for here.
I want to win January
in the Premier League here. And do you know what I'm saying? Why are we giving up now? Like it's just mad. Look, I don't think we'll win anything, and I've said that before a ball was kicked. But it weren't because we got a crap team and a crap whole of it. It's because we didn't quite do enough. The summer was not enough.
Still talking about the same thing.
In January going, we need XYZ. Why are we doing that when we had an 8 out of 10 window in the summer? We clearly didn't have an 8 out of 10 window. We clearly had a 4 out of 10 window, like I said. And we now need to go
push at 5 out, push
the reinforcements in. So we got to go and do it, bro. That's why I look at the Cronkies now and I say, right, we've got 3 of our wingers out. yeah, and we
But
still need
Tini's playing left wing.
Tini's coming on that left wing, yeah.
You know we're
We've got
desperate.
one striker, so Cronkies, go sort it. Real talk.
Sort it now, seriously, because we're fumbling it. But then I have to wonder with you, yeah, then did they really want to sort it? Because I do think where you look at indirectly, Declan Rice kind of said they need players. Mikel Arteta's language has changed, but Arteta got a new deal before his ball was kicked. We all know the minute we've got 2 years back in the Champions League, we're complacent. I'm not going to say we're going to fall out the top 4 because mathematically we can, but it looks like we're going to be there again. What if they say, do you know what, we've got enough to keep ticking over? Like, did they really want to get over the line like that and salvage any potential Prem or champs, even though me and you don't believe we're winning that?
Well, I think the evidence will show what's going on and what has been going on, because right now with no Edu, how influential was he? Well, if we're looking to sign players in the summer already, he probably wasn't that influential. The other thing I'll say is if we do nothing in January, the ownership are a disgrace and they're not backing the manager at the times that he needs it. Yes, he's backed him overall with 800 million. It's not actually that much. It's about 690 if you actually want to get really complete about it. So he spent just under 700 million, which is a lot of money. But it's only in that 5-year period. It's not like he spent 700 million in 2 years, like some managers have, like Maresca, who's still trying to get back in the Champions League after spending 1.5 billion or whatever the hell it is. So you've got to be realistic about what other people are spending. You've also got to be realistic about how much we needed to spend on top of to catch Man City. So I understand when people say that's catch-up money. I kind of get what they're saying. I mean, it's a hell of a lot of catch-up money to spend. But how much more do we need to spend then, is what I would ask. So, look, the problem we've got ourselves in, DG, is we're in a position at the moment where we need only the elite come into the club. So it's fine getting another 21-year-old who's going to be ready in 3 years' time to back up someone. But actually, we need someone who's ready now. I don't want someone who's ready in 3 years' time. I want someone who's going to hit the ground running. And that's going to cost you. So whether it's Sesko, whether it's Isak, whether it's Gyökeres, whether it's a winger like Lookman or Nico Williams, it ain't going to cost you £30 million. It's going to cost you treble that. And unfortunately, that's why we have to look at that now and say that realistically, we have to look at those type of players to take us across that line. And just lastly, when Mikel Arteta is coming out and Declan Rice is coming out, do you think that these two players are coming out saying that because they're confident we're going to get someone? Or do you think they're coming out saying that because they're not confident that the Cronkies are going to support them? I would say it's the latter.
It's a battle cry, man.
If they knew what was coming in already, they'd be silent. And they say, yeah, we're a bit short. We're looking to do something. They wouldn't come out and say what they're saying, which is at the moment we're playing Kieran Tierney left wing because we're so short. And Mikel Arteta wouldn't be saying, I think we need to maximise every window. And when there's an opportunity of injuries that's happening, we're going to need some support. If you're saying stuff like that, that means you don't know who you're signing yet, and you're still having a word with the Cronkies to see if we can borrow some dollar. So I'm sick of it, man, if I'm honest.
And I'm with you, man, in the sense of like, and I hear what you said about Josh Kroenke's more of a visible face. And I, to his credit, I have liked that. I see you a lot more. I might not necessarily believe everything you're saying, but fair play. But then when I look at it, I'm sure you're a made man in your own right. But at the end of the day, like, it's your dad's money. It's not really yours. So you could be here as much as you want to do. Are you a decision maker? Are you a difference maker? And I don't want to say, I'm not claiming the Kroenke's are sinister yet, but these men are businessmen. You don't make all those billions of pounds with doing silly things. What if he's thought, you know what, we need to fix up the image of the club. Mikel Arteta is doing his thing. Let me make my son more of a visible face. It will shut fans up. You do your little interviews, and then it's more of the same kind of what you're saying. Everything's next season. Like prior to Gabriel Jesus' injury, even though we needed players, all we was hearing was, yeah, it's all the summer, Cunha summer, this summer, that summer, even Zubimendi. And I've even forgot to ask you, like, where are you at with Zubimendi? Because me and you were speaking about signing at 8. But surely if we sign Zubimendi, you have what? Lewis Skelly, Declan Rice, who's playing as an 8. I don't like Moreno there, but he's there. And obviously Zubimendi, like, does it dead the idea of an 8 coming in? It's just a 6 and that's it in midfield for you, assuming this thing does happen.
I still think we need both, bruv. I still think we need both. Partey and Jorginho look like they're probably going to be off. So if Partey and Jorginho are off, that means it leaves us with Rice and Zubimendi as the 6. And then potentially Marino and either Rice or Lewis Skelly to cover for the 8. Then you've obviously got Ødegaard and Waneri in the 10. Now,
I can't forget Kai Havertz either.
And Kai. So, look, if I'm being brutal, I think we need all 3 positions signed in the summer. I think we need a 6, which looks like it's going to be Zubimendi. I think we need an 8, which I'm hoping would have been somebody in the mould or ilk of a Bruno Guimaraes. And then I think we need a 10 in the ilk of a Florian Wirtz. That's going to cost you a bomb. And we haven't even got a striker yet.
Yeah. And anything else Arteta wants.
And anything else that we want. Winger, we're talking about. Cover for Saka. There's a
more
lot to
bodies
do,
in
man.
general. It's a madness.
Yeah, bruv. There's a lot to do, So we're talking about a 9 coming in. a backup for Saka, a left winger, a number 10, a number 8, a number 6, a left back,
Couple of goalies.
another centre back, and another goalkeeper. That's 9 players. Are we real? You think we need 9 players? Because that's what people are saying. And I thought we were like year 5. So I think it's not going to happen. Like, that's not going to happen. We only get 9 players in 3 windows, not 2. You know, not Arsenal anyway. So that's why I think we need ideally 2 to come in January, and I think we need 5 to come in the summer, and then we might be all right. So yeah, it's going to be mad. The other thing you've got to do is we're imagining these players are leaving. Who's going to buy them? No one wants Jesus now. No
this
one
is
wants
what I'm saying.
You know what I'm saying? Partey and Jorginho, fair play. They're running out. Kieran Tierney, likewise. But someone's got to buy Zinchenko and Tomiyasu and Kivior and Lokonga and Tavares. They've got to sell all these. Fabio Vieira's got to find a home. It's tough.
Reece Nelson still on the book, on loan. Forgot about him as well.
I'm saying. That's what I mean. There's a lot to do, bro. A lot to do.
And we don't have the best of reputations with sales. And like you said there, like, it's one thing having players for sale. Like, we tried to shift Partey on, that hasn't happened. We've been open to offers for Jesus, that hasn't happened. I love Tomiyasu, but at the end of the day, you know, I can like you as much as I want as a footballer. If you're never about, it's a myth. So it's one thing wanting to sell these players. It's another thing actually getting offers. It's a completely another thing Arsenal actually getting the offers they want for these players. But, you know, when we talk about well, not necessarily Sesko, but definitely Nico Williams, Kudus, all of those guys, yeah, I'm not saying they've got an attitude problem because I've never spoke with them, but typically the best footballers have egos. I mean, big up yourself, Football Manager Maniac here. He kind of alluded to what people are talking about. Do you think Arteta will have an issue handling players with big egos? Because we've seen the Aubameyang and Ozil stuff, and that seems to be something our fan base is talking about, man.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about this. I don't think that we're ever going to see that problem again, because I don't think Mikel Arteta is going to recruit anyone with a huge ego problem. I think you're going to look at the way that they go about things with their recruitment is as far or as in-depth as or as thorough as understanding their background, their history, their family life, their home life, the way they've grown up, their culture. And I think if that fits and suits what they want in their dressing room, they'll bring him in. So I think if you're going to get a player that they look at like an Ivan Toney, but they look at his life and think he's got some problems, I'm not interested. Lucas Paqueta, yeah, he's got some problems.
And we're never going to get stars, man.
I don't think we're going to get to that level. And I'm not just picking on people that are gambling, by the way. I'm just trying to give you a bit of a brief of people that at the moment they've got some off the field problems that are definitely not what I think he needs. I think that's why he's gone off Marcus Rashford. I really do, because I think he genuinely did like him. I don't want
too much baggage to want to get involved in.
Too much there, and he's not ready now. He's not a player that comes in and hits the ground running. He needs a new challenge in the European League, in my opinion, like a Dortmund. I think would suit his narrative. So I'm looking.
Just go somewhere else, man.
Yeah. So look, I think that we need to be looking at the players coming in with the mentality that is to win now, that's ready now, that has the hunger and desire and passion to drive us across the line. And I think that players that are going to do that have to have it right up here, but they have to be doing it on the pitch, which is why I look at the form of players and think, yeah, that's a lot to me. Sesko, he didn't get a kick against Celtic in the Champions League, and Openda's scoring more goals than him. So I'm not looking at Sesko.
Not sounding good. You're not selling him to me, man.
Nah, bro, I'm not. And I wasn't impressed with him in the Euros. So yes, he scores goals.
The Euros. I like him though, but
is he going to take it to the next level? I don't know yet. I don't know. I don't know that he's ready. I think Gyökeres would be much, much better, and I think Osimhen would too. So that's where I'm at. But they're talking about Sesko. I think the 3 players he wants are clear next. Zubimendi is one of them. Sesko is another, and Nico Williams is the third. I think they're the 3 he wants, man.
And that's the thing, yeah, that annoys me, and that I love them names. If that's what you want, go on. I'm not going to say no. But if you don't get these players for whatever reason, personally, I don't want to hear nothing about there's no players on the market. We tried. I don't want to hear that, because there's millions of players out there. And are we really that good of a team that there's only 3 players that really improve us? You either find solutions or have excuses in it. And I don't want to be on the side we've been on, really. Do you think like fans are starting to like be a bit divided now, because it seems like battle lines are being drawn? I do think Mikel Arteta has got these weird cult-like followings where he can do nothing right. Equally, I do think it's either Mikel Arteta does everything right or nothing right, and then now I feel like we're getting into that scenario of the Cronkies out and stuff like that. Do you think there's now division in the fan base?
I think there's always been division in the fan base, DG. It's just when you're winning, people aren't as loud. Yeah. When you start to lose, it starts to get really toxic. I sit on the kind of fence of demanding the best. whereas there's a section of the fan base that are just happy to be there for the ride. And I think that's where the divide is really.
I'm not on that at all.
Nah, there's a lot of fans that
Because
really
they're actually decent. There's actually a base. Like, let's just try and win something. One love for the super chat, by the way, Birdie. But go on, Dan, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm with you there in terms of the divide. I've seen it the last couple of home games. It ain't been too nice, some of the stuff that I've seen. So there's definitely been some problems with the fans infighting and stuff. Look, it's not got to the stage where they're battering the hell out of each other or anything like that, people. So let's calm it down. But I will say that there's definitely a lot of disagreement within the fan base. But that's life. That's like every fan base, every single one.
Life would be boring.
I don't mind people having difference of opinions, man. That's what we're about. We all want to win. We all see different ways of getting there. Let's hope that the people that think Arteta's not the guy, that he is the guy. And let's think that the people that do believe he's the guy get their wish and he gets across the line as the manager that won us the Champions League or whatever it be.
That's all we want, trophies, man.
You know, and people that, I think there's genuine people that believe, fans like myself and Judges and Turkish and Curtis all want this to fail so that we can say, told you so, we were right. I can honestly tell you, I wish I had a lie detector or a crystal ball to say, I want us to win.
Want to be wrong. If I don't believe and something happens, I want to be wrong. We just want trophies, but fuck, I told you so. Like,
you know, I don't know why people want to be like, see, told you, we're in the mud. How does that make anyone happy? Like, I just don't get
that. Doesn't get us the big ears or what we've been missing since 2004, man. And for some Arsenal fans, never seen us win a trophy. Ain't won it in this new stadium.
And you know what? That is one thing I do want to touch on actually, because it's not young fans' fault when they were born people. Yeah, so you can't.
There's also older ones that are on the weird stuff as well. Then, but go on.
Very true, but you can't say, well, you were only 18, so you don't really deserve a voice because you hadn't seen us win anything. That is wrong when people say that. Yeah, what I will say is the fans of that age can't then say to people like you and I who have seen trophies, oh, you're moaning. Look at us, we're second. Well, actually, when we were second, when we were winning stuff, everyone was in mourning coming out of Highbury when we'd lost the league title.
Exactly.
We weren't celebrating, going second. We used to be fifth. You know what I mean? That isn't what happens. Yeah, that's not a celebratory trophy. So that's what we got to be realistic about. So look, I don't like the fact that when you have a difference of opinion, you have to argue and shout in each other's faces. I don't get any of that stuff. For me, I always talk to fans. I actually like talking to fans that have different opinions to me.
Amen.
Because then it starts to give you a bit of an understanding of how perhaps you should be seeing things and how they see it differently. And I've been swayed by people before to say, oh, do you know what? Yeah, didn't even think
that's what it's about, man. No one's trying to force opinions down anyone.
I don't get. Look, people in the game, Tom, Harry, Clive Palmer. I've got people on FTV, Julian Ty. I listen to all of them. I don't not listen to them because they don't agree with
Julian's a madman. I can't lie. The others, but Julian's a madman.
Some of them have got some deluded in.
He's mad.
Right? But I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy listening to people that have difference of opinions to me because it makes me look at things maybe a little bit differently. And sometimes perhaps we all go over the top when we lose and we get angry and we get hurt, bro. So
we love the sport. We love the team better. Yeah,
we don't sit there. We want to blame everyone when everyone's feeling like us. And when people are walking next to us going, "But hey, don't matter. We're out. We're going for the title." I'm thinking, "What are you so happy about, bro? I'm hurting over it. What are you happy about?" This is the frustrating thing that I get. But maybe I shouldn't get that emotional about it. But I can't help it.
No, I'm with you, Dan, man. And that's why I like to speak to different fans, you know. Like, again, for me, I always say on my channel, I don't tell you what to think, just thinking it. There's plenty of times I thought something, someone's presented information, and I'm like, yeah. For me, I look at Arsenal as a half, like the glass, whatever it's called, about half empty, half full. I think there's many things to be positive. I do think Arteta has done a lot of good stuff. I do think the guy's a good coach, and I think just because you don't believe in Arteta, you don't need to lie and say the guy is not a good coach. I think there is a good base because at the end of the day, we've been consistent with moaning, but equally there's so many impressive stuff that we've improved upon. And as you said, we finished second. But at the same time, like, I do think there's a lot of criticisms. I think there's criticisms on the transfer market with actually, you know, the same things we talk about year in, year out, strikers, wingers, depth, you know, relying on the same players. And I can't ask, no matter how good City have been historically, no matter how good Liverpool have been this year, I can't say that we've exhausted all our options and controlled all of the controllables. If we've done that and we really could leave the market saying we've done all we could, or every game where I think we've dropped points this season, we've done all we could, then fair enough. But I just feel like we're just fumbling stuff. And fundamentally, bro, like, as much as people can sit here and say, oh, best team in 2024, all of that stuff, cool. If that's statistics, that's statistics. I can't argue with it. But I can't, like you said, 50 years from now, 20 years from now, I can't say Arteta was so good, Saka was this and that. What happened when I'm telling my grandkids, oh, what happened? We finished second. That's dead. Like, that's dead. There's no parading, isn't it? And like, when last did we see that? Like, this is what I think we need to get back to. And I just think there's just far too much division and unnecessariness in that, because I think people are just invested in their own egos. But as you said, I'm with that. I do want to ask you, like, to wrap it up, last question for you, have to, bro. Like, some Arsenal fans would say, you know what, we're still technically in the League Cup, but we're out of it. We're out the FA Cup. Liverpool are still competing on all the trophies. Could this give us a spring in our step, really? 1 game a week kind of thing. Like, can we afford, like, can we get the Premier League trophy over the line and maybe even the champs?
Look, man, all we know at the moment is we're definitely out of the FA Cup. That's all we know. We don't know what happens at St. James Park. We believe we're going to potentially lose that game. All they need is a goal, and that's it.
We're out, man, but I hope.
Yeah, we're not. I think we're out. We're not going to score 3. The best hope we got is to win 2-0 and take it to pens. That's the only thing I can think is the only option. We ain't getting 3 goals. I think we're out of that as well. So domestic cups is not our year this season again. Champions League, I'm never going to write that off. The reason people do is because of our European heritage, and it stings, if I'm honest.
All right, off. I can't lie.
So, yeah, a lot of people believe it. I'll never write it off because you don't ever have to be the best team to win the Champions League. And I don't look around Europe at the moment and see many teams that I'm looking at that are scaring me. Nobody in other than, let's say, Inter Milan, Barcelona, and Liverpool.
It's the away games for me, man.
Now. Yeah, I think we've got, when everyone's fit, our wits about us to try and stink out some wins with our defence. That's what I would say.
I hear that.
We've got to go and bring players in, though. If we bring with this squad, we ain't winning anything. Let me say that first of all. I should have said that right at the time. When we bring somebody in, I'll say when because we have to in January. That could change.
Yeah, positive thinking, man.
Positive thinking. So that's the Champions League. We might get lucky in that because that's a tournament you can get lucky in. I look at the teams that have won it; they were never the best.
About time we need luck. We never get the luck. Like,
no, we need it. We need it. The Premier League, I think it's done. And I don't think it's done because
I'm with you.
Liverpool are too good. I think it's done because Arsenal aren't consistent. So if Arsenal went on a run, and let's say we've had 15 wins in a row, I'm looking at things differently, thinking, right, we're 4 points behind. We've just won 15 in a row. We're on fire. This could happen, but we're not. We're off the back of some real bad results
as well, man.
Playing well. We're looking in front of goal dodgy. Liverpool aren't looking horrendous. And they're saying, oh, we've somehow got ourselves to 4 points. They haven't played bad in those games. They've drew a couple. They're not getting spanked every week. So I think that they will also do this as well. They'll potentially. I'll just say it to Nathan in the chat. I wasn't Arteta out on Sunday at all. I said I'm giving him till the end of May. Go watch my fan cam. Yeah, people think I was Arteta out on Saturday.
You know how it goes, man. You know how it goes.
My fan cam, man. Go watch my fan cam. Give him until May to win the Champions League or the Prem. That's what I said. So I don't know why you're spreading lies, bro.
Do you know what? Go on, Dan. Go on.
No, I was going to say that's where I'm at with the what can we win? FA Cup, no. Not for me, Carabao Cup, because it's too much of an ask. Not for me, Premier League, because I believe Liverpool are too consistent and we're inconsistent unless things change. And if we do get players in January, why not? Let's just say that the one that we can actually have more chance of winning is the Champions League. And people will laugh and say I'm crazy. What do you think of that, Nathan? Is that negative to say that we can win the Champions League? Do you know what I'm saying? So you can't win with these people. So that's what I would say. I'd flip a coin right now and say that's what I'd say. Heads or tails, say Champions League, because we need something and we need to start putting together ourselves as a kind of team that can win that Champions League and just go in and do your, go through your stinky tactics if you need to get us over these 2-leg affairs, and let's see how far we can go in this one. That's what I would say.
That's where I'm at, Dan. It's like, it's a weird one with Mikel Arteta because for me, I think there has to be conversations in May. I'm not quite at that, like, get him out, and I'm not at that stage of, I don't just support everything he does. I think it's really a mixed bag with Mikel Arteta. I could understand if people want him sacked in May, and I think there's points you can counteract towards that, but I don't think there's a definite kind of defense for that. Equally, if people want to keep him, you could argue it's going to be more of the same. I just think it's a multi-layered kind of thing, man. I do think there's a lot of good stuff. I don't believe in the rhetoric of just saying, who are we going to get and keep Mikel Arteta just because we're not going to try anything else. Neither do I think sacking the man's going to bring anything necessarily. I just feel it's a mixed bag where there's no right or wrong. And it's just, I just want us to get over the line. For me, I rate Arteta. I like Arteta, but I can't rate you. See what you're doing from a coaching perspective. You made us great in the top 6 and all the good things you've done, and not hold you to those high standards. And I do think there's some fans that waffle about Mikel Arteta, but if you have him up there, you have to hold him up there. It's like Bukayo Saka. We rate him. If he scores goals, he's getting praise. If he misses tap-ins, we're going to get vexed. So it's a weird one, man. What I would say is I don't think Arteta gets sacked while you get in the top 4, while fans are still buying into it and you're going to the stadiums, and also while the players are buying into it. So it's a techie one, but every year that it doesn't happen, there has to be a decision, a conversation. I appreciate Arteta taking us from the mess and fixing it, but now the conversation is getting over the line, and it's another one of where I just think we are not taking advantage of what we could do. And we all know City are going to hit back. Chelsea are going to get back to where they're doing. Don't know how Amarin and United are going on, but it's not just going to be us second and us in the title challenges. Everyone, including us, we're going to get better. So it's a mixed bag, man. I hope we're all wrong, people. If we do have any doubts, and we've done a double or we've won something, everybody wants that, as Dan's alluded to, man. But Dan, you know how the content game is, man. You're not allowed to change your mind. You're not allowed to do any of that.
It's mad, bro. Crazy. If you say, oh, Arteta did well, flip-flop, you said he was rubbish last week. No, he was just rubbish last week and he did well this week. That's not a flip-flop. That's just saying what you think. It's bizarre, bro. But I think people use terms that, like, I think they think you get annoyed by it. Do you know what I mean? Oh, he's rattled when everyone don't really care about that, or he's a flip flop, and they think it really hurts you. Like
as long as they're talking, man, it's better that. Make sure you're subscribing to the channels, man.
They want exactly. That makes you view your content more, I suppose. But look, I'll say this quickly: we have 17 games left, bruv. Right in the league. This is just
17 cup finals. It's got to that stage now, man.
And this is what I'm saying. So I think we can afford to drop 2 more games. That's it. Are we going to win 15 out of 17? I hope so. I don't see it.
When you put it like that, I get scared then, you know.
That's what I'm saying. And the reason I say that's if Liverpool do what I'm expecting. And Liverpool have got to then, on top of those 2 games we drop, they've got to drop those 2 plus another 7 points because they're going to be Everton. So that's, what's that, 3 games. So they've got to lose 5 or drop 5 games, Liverpool, in 17. That means they're only going to...
We've got to beat them at Anfield, if I'm honest. And
we've got to beat them.
We do that.
I think it's too much of a hurdle, bro. I think it is.
It's a madness, and that's the thing about us. There's reasons to be optimistic. There's also reasons to believe it's a missed opportunity, but we'll just have to see, man. It's gonna have to start this weekend beating Villa. Like, it's all fun and games winning the North London derby. Let's be honest, all of our problems. Spurs are shitter than us. We should have won that. We've got Emre rocking up at the Emirates. Let's hope we win. Dan, what content you got to come out today, man? If you ain't subscribed to Dan, I can't imagine you're not. But just check out the title of the vid. Head over to the YouTube channel, support it. But what you got to come, man? Before I let you get out,
bro. Love that, bro. I'm on with Judges at 5 o'clock on Lee Judges TV. And then tonight I've got my show, which is going to be about Arsenal transfer news. So come join me at Football's 12th Man. I'm on the road to 40K now, which is mad.
Come on, people, man. Support the gang. He's flying, man. Went over the hurdle of 30K now. Let's get over the line now, man.
Love, bro. No, I appreciate that. So, yeah, Football's 12th Man. Make sure you're liking this and subscribing to this as well. And me and DG will be doing something regular, man. So we'll be alternating the channels. So we'll be on mine next week. I'll be back on it the week after. You know how it is. So
and again, please don't let that go over your head, people. The man said we're alternating. I'll be back on his channel probably at 1 p.m. on Friday, but it will be on Friday. So yeah, just make sure you're getting in the habit of setting aside time for your Fridays. One love to everyone that's participated, whether you've agreed, slagged us off in the chat or etc. I'm gonna let Dan do his thing. You lot do your thing. I'll be back at 2:30, people, to go over Arteta's comments. But for now, Dan, one love, my guy. Everyone, peace, man. Always